Gary, thank you for coming on to Timely Conversations. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
We've talked about so much about your journey from UK and then migrating to Australia, and growing up in your 20s over there, and then starting your businesses, your various businesses. Let's begin with the introduction of your journey to starting with Specsavers over in the UK, before the expansion of stores into Australia.
Yep. So I started my journey with Specsavers started back in 2007, and I just moved back from overseas from a previous business venture. And I just wanted a bit of a change really in my work sort of life balance. Didn't want to be doing my late nights anymore, so I decided to move into a retail 9-to-5 job. And with that, it was just a very different industry to be in, but I saw the opportunities being in that industry. Started off with them as literally just as a part-timer, just working a couple of days a week. Moved my way up, sort of expanded into sort of full-time work. Quickly sort of rose up and became an assistant manager over 2 locations, and eventually 3 locations for the same partnership. And then at that point, and I've been doing that job for probably about 2 years at that point. Prior to that, obviously I had other business management sort of experience, so pretty much my management of people and my people management skills helped me in that role develop really quickly. And then they saw the potential, so they moved me up pretty quickly through that. After that, I then started to sort of notice that the stores, there was opportunities within the stores as a partnership in the UK, but the way the model works over there is you have to put a lot of money into just even to be considered to be a partner over there, because it's an established business that's been around. Back then it had been around for 30 years. And I sort of saw that number, and it was pretty high in the pounds, you're talking sort of £10,000, £15,000 to be put on a waiting list, and I didn't have that money, and I was like, well, what other opportunities are there? And literally it was a bit like fate, where within 3 months of having that thought, they started to expand into Australia. And when I saw that, I was like, right, okay, well, this is definitely an opportunity for me. They needed new partners, or they needed experienced business people at least. A lot of the UK partners didn't want to leave their positions purely because they got comfortable, and obviously they was earning really good money over there. The contracts are structured very differently, and they just didn't want to leave. So I saw that opportunity and I decided to make the move.
You were given the very important role of expanding Specsavers due to your fantastic, people management skills. In 2009, you mentioned they came and opened 100 stores across Australia.
Yeah.
Now, what were some of the hurdles and smooth sailing moments you faced during this expansion?
So with that expansion, it was a very sort of ambitious sort of move by Specsavers, because they'd never opened that many stores in such a quick sort of succession. So it was 100 stores in 100 days. With the team that we had when I was based in WA, we had a team of 5 people, and literally that was it, coming over from the UK. And our job was literally to go into a store or to go into a potential location, help with the recruitment of the team, help with obviously the sort of education of the partners coming in and learning the systems, learning the processes, and from that, literally our job was literally to give them a guide and give them sort of a time frame of how things needed to be done and when it needed to be done by. We would then go in there for about a week, open the store, let it run, and then move on to the next one. And over the space of 12 months, I was probably involved in maybe about 20 to 30 stores in that expansion, because the 100 stores over 100 days wasn't just in WA, it was 100 stores across Australia, New Zealand. So we had our own little sort of network that we had to look after.
Well, you must have travelled a lot.
Yeah, so we travelled to all over the place in WA,
Would you say on average a few days per store?
Yeah, it was pretty much like the roster, the rotating roster that we had was literally like I said, there was 4 or 5 of us doing that job, and we would each spend 2 to 3 days in each place, and then move on to the next place, give them a little bit of a sort of a homework, I suppose, and sort of say, right, okay, well, this is what I want you to set to achieve over the next week or two, and then when we come back, we'll address that and see where we've got to with obviously either expanding the team or expanding sales, top line, expanding profit, whichever one it may be, but we'd give them a different task every week, and then we'd just sort of readdress that.
Oh, you've had to take care of the human resources side of things,
Pretty much, yeah.
The management,
yeah,
and the salespeople.
Yeah, because the team that we had in Australia at that point, even back in Port Melbourne, the support office was really small. It was pretty much a skeleton staff.
Will they make the bulk of the funds through selling spectacles and lenses?
Yes, yeah, pretty much, yeah. So most of the cost that we sort of see comes from pretty much, yeah, from buying and selling spectacles. We make some money from contact lenses as well, but it's not as big of a business, I would say, than what the glasses is. We now have online presence as well, so like with the online side of it, like we've literally grown that, and that's expanded massively.
As a UK-based optical retailer, how does Specsavers' way of doing business influence your approach to running Specsavers in Australia?
Okay, I mean, with that, like it's very similar, because selling glasses is selling glasses and people are people. The model works pretty much in the same way, but I learned a lot of stuff from my previous partners that was in the business in the UK, and sort of saw that delegation was definitely the best way to do it and build that team pretty quickly. And obviously give them roles and responsibilities, and yeah, just basically accountability through the team.
Yeah. Now, many entrepreneurs talk about, the journey from earning the first $1,000 a month, and then quickly reaching 100K, and then eventually to the millions. At what point did you feel you had a breakthrough in your journey with Specsavers or your other ventures and or investments?
Well, with Specsavers, like my first sort of breakthrough, I suppose, came within the first month pretty much of opening the business, because we went from like a negative sort of turnover to literally we was making sort of $40,000 to $50,000 a week. The first month that we was there, I think we made close to $200,000 that month, and yeah, it had gone from a negative to $200,000 within 4 weeks. So yeah, so that to me was definitely a turning point where I was like, right, this can work. Like this obviously can work, and with the entry into that business being so low, yeah, it was a no-brainer that this was going to work from day one.
And what does your day-to-day running the business entail in the hospitality industry when you open the bar in Spain, as well as the Specsavers side of things?
It's very different. Like obviously, that like being in hospitality is very different to being in the retail space that I'm in now. So hospitality, it was literally all on me, because it was a very small sort of business, and it was literally just myself being in that business on a day-to-day basis, 7 days a week. Yeah. 10, 12 hours a day. This is obviously a bit more relaxed. I've got a team of 20 people, and yeah, it wasn't always like that, obviously, but yeah, the team of 20 people now makes my job a lot easier, where it's literally, they've all got their own responsibilities within the team, and obviously they all report to someone, and then obviously that line manager then reports to me.
How much money did you think you needed to first start opening the bar in Spain, as opposed to joining forces with Specsavers as
well, opening a bar, obviously that was a big capital expenditure. Like with that one, like that cost us close to, like obviously securing the lease and then building the equipment, because the bar that we actually had over there was that was a specialized cocktail bar. So the place that we bought had nothing in it; it was an empty shell. So we had to like manufacture the frameworks and all the sinks and all the backing boards, everything needed to be manufactured for that place. So that cost a lot of money. My dad was involved with that because he's an engineer. So like he did a lot of fabrication work when he was younger, and he knew people that did that. So they ended up helping him with that. So we saved a little bit of money, but like overall expenditure on that project was probably close to about £100,000.
Yeah. So just interior designing, the space, and the bar space,
yeah, just
fixtures and fittings.
Fixtures and fittings, like basically all your stuff, and plus your stock as well. So your stock's very expensive as well when you've got high-end spirits and stuff like that as well. But yeah, like that overall project was, the entry into that was a lot more than what it was for Specsavers. Yeah.
Okay.
Like your average entry into a Specsavers now, because it's an existing business, you're talking probably about $500,000, obviously, but that's loaned. Whereas the money that we put into the bar wasn't loaned. That was like our own money that we had to find from somewhere.
For Specsavers, about the loaning part, you mentioned about because you weren't a citizen of Australia.
Yeah.
All right, but then eventually they still approved of your loan.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate?
So they approved on that. Like, so basically, my story behind that was went to a bank, and I wouldn't obviously anyone. I wouldn't say anyone should do this, but like literally, it was like obviously if you don't ask or you don't tell, you don't get, I suppose, or you don't ask, you don't tell. And literally went to a bank. The bank rejected me for the initial loan.